Dun, 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 dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum, bum, bum,
dun,
bum,
dun, dun, dun.
bum.
Kilted
Kilted
Balls!
balls.
Woo! Hey,
Woohoo!
welcome back to the Kilted Balls podcast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so glad you're here. And we've got tons and tons to talk about today. I think we have a lot to
Yes,
talk about.
I
So,
think so.
uh, well, first off, let me tell you, you don't know this, but I'm first excited at my handyman skills. Yesterday in my house, I installed three toilets.
That is awesome.
Me
Was
and the
there a
5 year
reason?
old. Huh?
Was there a reason?
They were I think original to the house and I didn't
Okay.
like them and they've been getting nastier and nastier and they've been not working. Like
Mm-hmm.
they keep like running all the time, or when I fix the running, then they don't flush. And so I've been
Mm-hmm.
wanting to put them in forever. And so finally I'm like, okay. And I went and picked up three. The funny thing was is if I got four, I would get a contractor's discount, but
Nice.
but it was like $40 if I bought four of them. And I was like, I don't need four toilets. I only have three bathrooms.
Darn
And
it.
I bring this up not just because of me being a handyman, but and Kilton knows this from our youth together. I was not a handyman until I had all my rentals. My rentals
Mm-hmm.
is what turned me into a handyman because I did all the work myself. And so, you're doing all the work yourself. You learn the tricks. So I all of those toilets in about an hour, maybe two.
No way. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, and you've seen me like with the electrical. Like I'm not an
Mm-hmm.
electrician, but man, I can wire electricity fast nowadays.
Yes, you can. I do remember you used to, I mean, because this was like, I mean, not early internet because we did have the internet in college, but the internet, even when we were in college, is not the same as now. So I remember when you had rentals, you would buy the books from Home Depot and stuff.
Yes.
So you knew how to do it. So it wasn't like you could just go to YouTube and find that stuff.
No,
But
I, I
then,
I think they're right up on that shelf right there. I have a shelf
yeah,
right next to me and I can see two or three of the books right there. So
yes.
nope, that is a thing. So yeah, so that was my yesterday, and you feel good being able to do that kind of stuff. That's the reality. Like I feel good about doing it. They look good, they're running good. And
Yeah.
then after dinner, Amy was like, "Oh, I bought a new paper towel thing. Will you put that up?" And I'm like, "Sure." And that I installed crooked, and so then I didn't feel as good. But
That's awesome. Well, the because I have two bathrooms at the warehouse, and bathroom number two is the one I tend to go in. The bathroom number one is the one that was redone and
yes.
everything. So yeah, that one has been a little clicky, and apparently before I left for Michigan, I didn't click it. So it was running all weekend. So with the warehouse being like 95 degrees and cold water running in that toilet, the whole toilet was sweating, and then there was like a line all the way to the drain of water.
Oh no. Well,
I
at least
noticed
it was
that
fresh
today.
water.
Yeah, yeah, it was fresh water. I probably should scrub that floor anyway, but I was just
Oh
like,
man.
I was laughing. Like, great.
So we've been talking a lot about our trading bots the last few
Hmm.
episodes, and we have entered a new phase in our trading bots. Yeah,
I would say thanks.
I
I mean,
feel like it.
definitely thanks to you. You found something that was super interesting, and I mean, you can go into a little bit of detail if you
Well, I
want,
think
or however
the
you wanted to
first
do that.
thing is when we first did the trading bots, it was all about like a residual kind of income thing, which was all well and good, but it
Hmm.
was slow. And I did a short early on, like a futures, but a short with the bots. And I didn't like it because I didn't understand it.
Yes.
But towards the end of the month, when I'm calculating what my percentages were for the month to kind of see how I did,
Hmm.
um, that was like one of my best trades was that short. And I'm like, okay, I can't deny something that did so well, right? So
Yes.
then I started merging instead of doing futures, I did future bots, which
Hmm.
personally to me feels safer. I don't know if it feels safer to you. I think it only
I would
feels
say so.
safer because instead of doing 100x, I'm only doing 10x. So that's probably why it feels safer.
That feels a lot
But
safer.
it feels a lot safer. And the thing that's nice about the bots is it's making those grid profits all the time, which is
Mhm.
adding to your bottom line, which is changing your liquidation price, I think.
Yes, I believe so too.
So you're not at risk of getting liquidated as much. It's always filling it in. So I don't worry about it as much. And because they're meant to be long term, if it has to sit there for a while, I don't necessarily care too much. But while we were doing this, I kind of went back to shorting and I saw some different indicators that I was like, man, I would never buy this coin. Like I would never
Mhm.
buy it. And I thought, wait a second. If my feeling is never ever buy it, then I should short it. And so the first time I like took $100 and I said,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to short this because I would never ever buy it. And I forget, it was like in 10 minutes, I had made like 20%.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sweet. That was cool. And then later on in the day, I was like, oh, here's another one I would never ever buy. So I shorted it
Yeah.
and it worked again. And so
And
that's been the game.
what was it? What was it made you never want to buy it?
So for me, I was looking at the stochastic, this I can never say the word, the
Mhm.
stochastics, the
Mhm.
RSIs,
Mhm.
and you know, kind of like crypto lifer, he has rules where he'll never buy, like if the 4 hour is not
Mhm.
undersold.
Mhm.
And like some of my rules are is I don't buy things when they're overbought, right? Like I think buying when it's overbought is just a little too risky.
Mhm.
And so the first one I saw, it was overbought on every single time frame. Like
Yeah.
every time frame was overbought. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter what pattern it's making, I would never buy this.
And usually too, when you're seeing that, you're seeing like a huge wick as
Right. And
well,
so,
or even if it's not a wick, if it's a huge candle.
yes. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to buy it and short it. And,
Mhm.
it worked. And 10 minutes later, it worked. And I can honestly
Mhm.
say, like in my bots right now, so I'm kind of done for the day trading. We already talked about that. I have
Mhm.
no shorts at all on any of my bots.
Mhm.
So they're all really fast turnaround kind of things.
Yes.
But the way I'm doing it and the way I'm looking, I've been finding some really good ones. And the big one that I'm still like totally geeked out about, and I'm so sad I try to get you. So I've been seeing Kilted every time I make one of these trades. I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
here's the trade. Here's the trade. And the one today, I didn't do any research at all on, which is not what we preach. But as soon as I pulled it up to look at my charts,
Yeah.
it had a green candle that was at like 30%. And it was the 15 minute. So in
Yeah.
15 minutes, it had gone 30%. And I was like, no way this thing is going 30%. And I shorted it right then. I didn't look at anything. I did it as
Mhm.
fast as I could click. And then 10 minutes later, I exited it and I made 88%.
That is super awesome.
Right?
Yeah, my
88%. I'm like,
my phone was blowing up and I was putting new fish in my saltwater tank. So I went
yeah,
and grabbed it and it said to get in, but I was too deep.
too deep in the water. Well, and 88%, that means I was almost doubling my money, right?
That's pretty
And
crazy.
in 10 minutes to almost double your money,
Yeah. And that
that's
was a
pretty good.
that was a that was a 10x short, right?
That was a 10x short. So
So it still dropped. It still
I've
dropped
been
like
doing
eight
all
8% or
10x's.
almost 9%. Yeah.
Yes. I've been doing all
That's super awesome.
10x's and doing the 10x shorts or the 10x longs. And I've
Hmm.
kind of started to get away from all of the spots. I still have some,
Yeah.
right? But like I have, let me see, right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. And the youngest is 2 days. And I
Okay.
don't like that. Like I like the
Yeah.
fact that I'm getting out of these in a day.
Hmm.
And the other thing that's fun is I had a huge mistake. We didn't talk about this in our last episode because I think it happened over the weekend. I
We did.
went to do this. I went to do this methodology, but it was kind of at the end of the day. And
Hmm.
so at the end of the day, a lot of times I will do a bot that's more surefire, like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this case, I was like, oh, I'm going to short Bitcoin before I go to bed for the night, more or less. Like I knew it was going to go down, and I'm like, I'm just going to short this and call it good.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to open my short bot, and I opened it, and I go to turn away, and as I'm turning, I'm like, wait a second. And I looked, and somehow it had gone to Shiba. And Shiba is like one of my arch nemesises. I don't like buying Shiba. And I was
You
like,
must have been looking at it.
no. And so I instantly went back and bought my Bitcoin short.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking at the Shiba and I'm like, okay, should I just get out of it right now? I think it was maybe down 1%. And I'm like, should I just take the L? And I was like, well, Shiba a lot of times follows Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll follow Bitcoin and I'll just let it ride. And nope, it got liquidated. And I even increased its margin twice and
Oh,
it
boo.
still got liquidated. So
Mm-hmm.
that one was a pure click error, not a trading error. Even with that error, so even getting totally liquidated, losing my investment on that, I finished July, I think up 30%.
That's awesome.
I think if you can finish a month up 10%, you should be happy. And I was up 30. And as good as that feels, in August, I'm up 30% right now.
Mm-hmm. And it's just started. That's super
2
awesome.
days in. So I think, Kilted and I have kind of found something that's going to work.
Yeah.
We'll see, and we'll keep you guys updated with it. None of it's financial advice.
Nope.
We don't think you should do what we do. This is all money we're 100% prepared to lose. Like to the point where I had some good friends say, pull everything off of this exchange, you'll lose it all. And I was like, I don't care if I lose it all. Like it's money that I'm not worried about. So,
and that's one thing that I'm doing as well. I mean, we've done some degen things in the past, both of us, but I'm starting out I was starting out because we've been doing a few weeks now, like $40 and $50 trades. Like, okay, it's gradually going up. I'm making money as well. So, and I actually just moved a little bit more money in there because I'm like, okay, this is all right. So now I'm doing $300 trades, but it's I wanted to get comfortable with it, with like what we were saying, like, okay, if I'm learning this and I lose this few $100s, it's fine. But now I'm feeling more comfortable, more I'm willing to put a little bit more in. And if I lose that, I'm still gonna eat this month, but I just felt a little more comfortable because of how it's been working for us. And of course, both of mine before we got on, I closed too early, but that's okay.
So we opened 2 longs before we got on. So this is kind of our old school methodology, looking at all of our indicators and our TA. And we opened 2 of them, and one of mine is up at 5.9%, and one is up at 9%. They've both been open for an hour. And did you close both of yours?
I closed both of mine.
But you made money, right?
Little over 5% on both.
Yeah, and I think and this is something I think is hard for people. It's hard for me, right? Like you heard me earlier going, are you going to close? And I'm like, no, I'm not at 10%. And earlier when I made 88%, when I was up at 25%, my wife was like, aren't you going to close that? And I was like, nope. And so greed will screw you more times than it won't. So just taking money is never bad. Getting money off the table. And our good buddy Jason talks about that all the time with NFTs. He said one of his regrets when we were going through all this was that he didn't take enough off the table when it was high, when Bitcoin was at the 40s and 50s and 60s. And I think that's a lot of people right now are going, shoot, I should have taken more off the table. And I think that's what you're doing. You made 5% and you're like, yep, I'm out. I made my 5%. Yep, I'm out.
My goal is 10.
Now,
but
that being said, mine's at 10.93% right now on my theta.
That's awesome.
Right. And so do I close that out? I think maybe. So I'm checking my different things, my different RSIs and seeing where they're at.
I ended up making $30 before the show started. on top of what was going on today. So
And
yeah,
how can you be
like you said,
sad making $30,
not
right?
sad at all.
No, and that's
I do like the bots. I like what we talked about before real quick, but if we're in it, like sometimes we're in it and we're looking at it. Like if I'm sitting at my desk, I might open a different bot than I would if I'm like, not at my desk, or if I'm just out and about, because you can't just set it and forget it. But if you want to pay attention and look at it, you can do maybe a little bit more risky, I would say. Like we're saying, if we're looking through the charts and you happen to see a big green or a big red candle, even,
yeah.
to possibly be able to take advantage of that, which is really cool.
Well, and that's it. The only reason I caught that candle was because I sat down and was like, okay, I'm going to look. And so I had to be looking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I happened to see the candle.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, for our listeners, I just closed my theta that I had running. I closed it when it hit about 10.9, but it's so volatile that it
Mm-hmm.
probably did different. 9.6.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever be sad about that, right? Like,
Yep.
okay, I made 9.6 and the indicators were starting to turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just didn't like the risk anymore. And that's what you have to do. You got to figure out what risk you're happy with. And so I really wanted to get about 10%,
Yep.
and it got up there. And then I was like, okay, now the indicators are starting to change. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, how sad would I be if I screwed it up? And if I would
Mm-hmm.
be really sad, then I know it's time to bail.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so like this time I was like, okay, I'm at almost 11%. I'd be really sad. I'm gonna bail. And so I did.
That's
But I think
super
I'm
awesome.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you're
so.
definitely good.
I think that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Mm-hmm.
an hour. So in an hour I made total $19 on that specific trade.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, and I
So,
don't think you can be sad about that.
mm-hmm. So some exciting things for me besides
Yes,
the
talk to us.
bots. I have some fun stuff going on. So I did pick up NFT this week,
Ooh,
and
what'd you
I
get?
can't remember. I thought I was talking about possibly picking it up last week, but I can't remember if we talked about it. But I picked up the We Are Gonna Make It United NFT. That's the uh, a bunch of crypto people. Gary is part of owner of it, and it's the old Crowley United team. It's a Premier League
Oh,
soccer team.
nice.
I believe they're in the third tier. So one thing that's cool about Premier League, there's different tiers, and the
Right.
top couple get to bump up, and the bottom few bump down. So you can be up, where you're playing the top tier teams,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're not doing well, you bump down. So they're in the third tier right now, and so, I guess the NFT will give me access to like merchandise and stuff, and they're the one. I don't know if you remember, or were you there that day? Yeah, you were. Where the guy, he wore it on stage,
Oh
the
yeah.
squiggly. They have the squiggly on their jersey,
Yes. Yes.
or the chromie. So I'm super excited about that. I'd love to get one of those jerseys. And then
That
also,
is
and
cool.
this is an update I totally forgot last month, because I remember we were talking about the Pluto Alliance, and I have a few different planets. And my planet got drawn last month for July, which was cool. So
Woo.
it's if you're unfamiliar with the Pluto Alliance, it's the NFT that BitBoy podcast does, or YouTube. And what
Okay.
they do, all the money they get from YouTube, they pay their taxes, then they divide it up to, you have to have it staked. You have to have your Pluto Alliance staked on their stuff, and then they divide it up between all those people. So it's active members of the community. They're not just giving it to everybody. You have to be paying attention and that you own it.
Right.
So what happened at the beginning of July, I was like, okay, I want to do this, and I bought an Earth real fast, but I wasn't able to get it staked, and I forget, like my internet wasn't working or whatever, and I wasn't able to get it staked. So I was like, oh man, that stinks. But so it wasn't drawn. But then this month for August 1st, I got it staked in the middle of the month, and I won again, and I think it was $77 this month. So yeah,
Nice.
they're just sending it as a on the Binance chain, USDT, through Binance on
Mm-hmm.
my my MetaMask wallet just shows up. So it's pretty. It's one of the, there's a lot of utility out there, but it's kind of a fun, different utility.
Yeah.
Where they're paying, members of the community, which is cool.
No, I think that's super awesome. And I've wanted to get on it just because that's substantial, that it's a soccer team. Or not the, I still think about
Okay.
your soccer team one, but I love the Pluto Alliance one, just the whole
I
concept.
think you can
the whole
still
concept.
mint the soccer, although I was able to get mine below mint.
Nice.
So they're all the same still. I don't know if there's going to be a reveal, they're going to be different, or if it's just that little guy. If you're looking at it,
Hmm.
you
I
can
might
find
have
it
to.
on LooksRare if you go to LooksRare, or it is on OpenSea, of course.
And we do love LooksRare. So
Yep.
OpenSea just has lots of issues that LooksRare doesn't seem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, LooksRare divvies out its money, so
Yep.
they're not just sitting there. So if you're buying, you should always check LooksRare
Mm-hmm.
first and maybe make an offer before you go to OpenSea. So just a good plan. I think one of the things we'll start doing if people are interested is when we make trades. I don't know if I want to flood Twitter with my trades, but I think
I think that's
TikTok.
smart. Or
So like
YouTube
today I
Shorts.
said, hey, I'm looking, or YouTube Shorts. So I don't know how to do the YouTube Shorts, but on today I was just jumped on TikTok and I said, hey, these are 3 things that I'm watching the 15-minute. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of that, I kind of wanted to show you one of them.
Awesome.
So
But yeah,
for those of you who are not on, you're not going to be able to see this, but other people will.
according to Gary Vaynerchuk, YouTube Shorts right now is like when TikTok first started. Like
Okay.
it's just to open your reach is further than you deserve.
Okay, then I will start doing those.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
need
fun.
to look on how to do those too. I
I
have the
like it.
slightest idea.
So, listeners, I'm showing a view of my my trading view, which shows stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can see here, what I wanted people to see is People was one of the ones I was looking at shorting. And so if you look at this, I was looking at it right here when it was almost to 0.04. And you can see that at this time, the 15-minute was in the blue area for the RSI. It wasn't under, right?
Yes.
And neither was a few of the other indicators. So I was really waiting for them to get over and be oversold. So I really wanted them to be oversold before I shorted. And so you can see we kind of got this double top here, and we're right getting close to the line. And I'm like, okay, it's going under, so it's probably going to touch that line of resistance and then crash. What you can see is instead it did a real slow decline.
Well, the wick touched it, but yeah, we don't follow wicks.
Yeah, you can see the wick touched it. That other wick came close. But so this is when I TikToked and said, hey, people or listeners, I'm looking at People. And, if it hits the indicator, I'm going to take it first. And it didn't, which is all well and good. But if this green had gone up and touched like I kind of was hoping, we haven't gotten down to the bottom of this yet, but we're hitting that 200-day average. And that is a pretty darn big chunk, right? Maybe 12%. So if you had done a 10x on that, you would have been looking good.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It wasn't good enough for me to do, but this is the kind of stuff you'll get on the YouTube Shorts or our TikTok stream, where I'm like, hey, this is what I'm looking at, and you can go look at it and make the decision for yourself. For me, I was waiting for this to go up because I didn't think it would go down. In retrospect, because I was dealing with a bot, I should have just gone because it might have gone to that resistance line, but probably not gone too far past it. So it would have gone down to here either way, and I still would have made my money. And that's part of the learning experience, right? So I think I could have done that one, and is what it is. So, but yeah, so that was exciting. Another fun thing was I saw Gary V on a friend who's not into crypto at all's Facebook
That's
page,
really cool.
and that
Yeah, you were
cracked me
talking
up.
about that. That's
So
really cool.
yeah, it was. I'm like, that is great.
But speaking
And
of Gary,
Kilted
oh,
came up to visit. He
yes,
came
I
and
did.
visited.
And you know what? I don't know what's going on, but for some reason, whenever we're together, we don't record. I think we're having too much fun.
We are just having a good time. That's just the reality.
But if you remember, I was talking about I couldn't remember if it was just if you had Series 1 V friends, if you got the playing cards, or if you
Yeah.
minted one at all. And like the next day I got an email, you have a shipment on the way. And I had already gotten 3 boxes.
Oh,
So I got
nice.
7 more boxes that were sitting at the warehouse. And actually,
Wow.
this time I actually brought one of the packs up. I'll open live.
Yeah, could you
Uh,
open it for us? That is
yeah, let's open
awesome.
it here. So
Open it up.
I have some of my
So these
sleeves.
are veefriend trading cards, right?
Yep. The game looks like it's almost like War. So it's still by Zero Cool. Anyone who's paying attention to the space, Zero Cool has been making cards and things like that. So this is one of the packs. I forget how many packs are. I think it's 50. No, that doesn't make any sense because it's 4 cards in each pack. I forget. So there's 4 cards in each pack, and there's 50 some cards in each of the big boxes. So we're doing this live. I haven't seen any of these, so we have, and they're
Nice.
all Series 2. Who is that?
Yeah,
That
looks good.
Your relationship with time. Okay, let me put this in here because I don't want
If
to.
you hold them right where they're at, they come out just fine.
Okay, cool. And then I have, what is that? Inchworm?
That's a worm.
Yep. Tough to beat worm in the dirt.
Have to
Yeah.
beat a worm in the dirt. That is a true
These are all
statement.
Series 2 V friends if you're unfamiliar with them. With these drawings, these are not the Series 1. It looks like I got all commons, but that's all right. That is a Benevolent Barn Owl, and then Steadfast Snake I also got. So I guess the game is kind of like a war. You flip 3 cards, and then whoever's number here is the biggest, that person gets the
Mm-hmm.
cards. And I've been making sure that I'm sleeving them all right away, just because I care, and who knows, what's going to happen further down the road, especially as some of these IPs get grown out. But so yeah. So
That's
there
awesome.
are
What's the
different
one
ones.
after the owl? What's the green one there?
Oh, that was the Steadfast Snake.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, it's fun. I mean, obviously to get free cards like that, I'm gonna go through them and take care of them. And any of I've gotten a couple of the rares so far. I haven't gotten any of the other more rare ones, and I haven't opened, because even the boxes, there's different rarities for the boxes. So it's
Okay.
5 different colors, and then 5 or 6 even inside each of the colors. And I didn't look at all my new ones, but I only got 2 of the more rare boxes. So, and I haven't opened up
Nice.
my first one that was a little bit more rare.
Well, that is
I haven't
super
really
awesome.
updated.
I think that's cool. And, you might have to TikTok out what a few of the other ones look like. Maybe your rarest ones so we can see them.
Oh yeah, I'll do
So,
that for sure. Yeah, because even Gary's asking people to tag it and stuff.
heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you wouldn't. Well, friends, that kind of ends this. Hopefully, we get to do another update later in the week. Follow us on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok to see what the heck is going on with our trades. We'll probably be doing lots of stuff on our trades there. Or if you even just see Kilted's fish. So he's been showing a lot of fish on there, and he got new ones today. So you
Yes,
might be
I did.
seeing his fish come out too. So that'll
Yes.
be good stuff. And before we leave, did you start the new gig at the pet store?
No, I haven't heard from the owner yet, which works out because I ended up coming up to Michigan this weekend.
Yeah.
Rather than working, I was back in there today. That I bought a couple things in there, and so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, of course, I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be cool, but if it doesn't happen, there's a reason it doesn't happen, and
For sure.
I'm not married to that. But
Yeah. No,
I did buy all the stuff today to set up all my breeding ponds at the
nice.
warehouse. So
I
actually,
like
it was
it.
funny because I was talking to the general manager today, because he's been at that store because they're understaffed at that store. And
Right.
I bought theirs. They had some bristlenose plecos, which are smaller than the common plecos, and they're better in the tanks. Blah blah blah. Anyone who's into fish would know that or understand it. I'm new, so I'm learning that. And they were like $1 each. So I was like, all right, give me like 3 of those. And he's like, yeah, it's a local couple. They breed these, blah blah blah. He's like, you should do that. And I was like, yeah, I'm literally like ready to set up 6 breeding ponds for all this stuff. And we had what 10 or 15 babies yesterday. So it's exciting.
Woo!
And actually
That
I
is
have
so
my
exciting.
snail laid a bunch of eggs. So these eggs in my tank right here on my desk are getting ready to move to the hatching area. They have a couple weeks and then we'll have hundreds of shrimp or
Okay.
snails, I mean.
Snails. Well, maybe we'll start having some snails up here for Cal, his first pet to take care of.
That'd be awesome. The snails are so much fun.
Aw. Well, I'm sure he would like it. We were looking at geckos the other day, though the girls have been really pushing for a Rottweiler. So we'll see. We'll see.
Uh-oh. That'd be awesome.
I know. Heck yeah, it would be. All right. Well, people, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for updates. And thank you so much for being part of the Kilted Balls podcast. This is Ballbuster signing off.
Kilted Dragon Jerry, love you all.